Welcome back. Welcome back. Thank you for joining us today.
Something you had nightmares about when you were a kid.
Boogeyman.
Stop talking about it. The boogeyman. What did you have nightmares about when you were a kid, Rick?
It's someone was after me. So kidnapping.
Somebody was after you. Being chased. Sally?
That I'd be left behind.
That I would be home alone.
Oh, right. Home alone.
All alone.
Game show host Ray Colmes filmed his final episode of Family Feud in February of '94. When shooting wrapped, Colmes walked off the set and drove home without even a goodbye, leaving the contestants celebrating on stage without the star host. It was customary for Colmes to mingle with the contestants while the credits rolled. He did this at the end of every episode. 2 years later, in 1996, Colmes attempted suicide. He was taken to a nearby hospital and placed under a psychiatric evaluation. Upon returning to the family's Glendale home the next day, police received a call of a disturbance. What they found was shocking.
911, what's your emergency?
It's time for Dead in Hollywood. Survey says, let's go behind the sign.
I've been in Colorado for the last 2 years as a missionary for my church, the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints.
After serving as a missionary for the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, Colmes started his career as a stand-up comedian.
You know, there are over 30,000 of us missionaries in the world today.
Right, just like that.
Here's your forehead.
Oh, thanks a lot.
Just kidding. I'm sorry.
I hope when you go on your mission that you live right next to some Jehovah's Witnesses, Jason.
Eventually growing out of his magic underwear, Colmes found his way back to his home state of Ohio and began performing comedy at Cincinnati's Red Dog Saloon.
People come up to me all the time and say, "You look like Barney Rubble." I can take it, but I feel sorry for my son Bam Bam, because this is the kid that really has to go through it. Barney Rubble, what an actor. He was great, you know. I respect anybody whose feet are half as big as his body, and I think you women should too.
Colmes moved out to LA and started a promising career as a warm-up comedian for sitcoms.
Let me tell you a little bit about Ray Colmes, who's a comedian, but he's a little bit different kind of a comedian because he does, for many of the situation comedies that film around the country, especially here in Hollywood, what is called a studio warm-up. Audience comes in to see the show. They may set a scene, they have to break. His job is to keep that audience up so they're in the mood for the next scene. And it's a tough job for a comedian, and he's the best at it.
I'm standing outside of the former NBC studios where The Tonight Show with Johnny Carson was shot.
And now, ladies and gentlemen, here's Johnny.
Johnny, who overheard his audience roaring with laughter at this young, new warm-up comedian, invited Colmes to appear on his show. Colmes received a standing ovation from the audience when he appeared on the show in October of 1986. He was so popular that shows like The Golden Girls and The Facts of Life would change their shooting schedule so that they could have him perform for their audiences. He even guest starred on some of the shows he warmed up.
The Family Feud.
In 1988, Colmes' career took off when he was offered a 7-year contract to host a new version of the classic game show Family Feud.
With the star of Family Feud, Ray Colmes.
The game in which families compete on each episode to name the most popular answers to survey questions to win cash and prizes. In America, it's as iconic as Wheel of Fortune, Jeopardy, or The Price is Right.
Please, thank you so much, and welcome to Family Feud. I'm Ray Colmes, the new host of the show. Happy birthday, America. Let me say that first of all. It's a pleasure to be with you. I'm excited about being on CBS and hosting this show. I have been studying all the great CBS shows. I think I'm prepared. So if you're ready, let's have the first item up for bids. Wait a minute. That's the wrong show. Hold on. We're going to have a great time. Let's meet our first fan.
If you live in Southern California, you probably know somebody who's appeared on Family Feud.
Show me Family Feud. And speaking of watching sports programs, Rob, how you doing?
With Colmes at the helm, the show was a massive success. Colmes took over the hosting duties of Richard Dawson, who hosted the original run of the game show from 1976 to 1985, when it was the top daytime TV show in the United States. Dawson may be a fan favorite, but his legacy has come under fire recently for his inappropriateness with female contestants, and some of the men. He kissed thousands of lips a year, and according to a biography about Family Feud, the contestants were tested for herpes after each episode.
A lovely Janelyn.
Yes.
Now that's a lovely name. You know, we kiss on this show.
Oh, we do? Oh, good.
Well, normally we don't, but
better than Richard Dawson.
Well, I haven't kissed him lately, but it was a cheap shot for me to get a kiss from a pretty girl, and I'm glad I did it.
I'm glad you did too.
Nick, you're glad I did too? Yes. I'm married.
So am I.
So are you.
Almost.
We'll talk after the show, huh?
Colmes enjoyed hosting Family Feud, but he grew increasingly frustrated by the rigid formula of the show and pressured his agents to find him new opportunities in acting and comedy.
Did you always want to be a game show host when you were a little kid? Did you go, throw that dice?
This is really amazing. Now, I think you can attest to this too. Now, we've known each other for a long time, and we started in the comedy clubs. Every comedian wants to get in the business for one reason, to be a very serious actor. And so you come out here, I came out 5 years ago, I said only the finest scripts, and you get up every morning and you practice reading old scripts of things that you think you're going to get, and you get scripts and you look at them, you look in the mirror and you go, frankly, I don't give a damn. And you start with classics like that. A couple of years that don't happen, so you lower your standards, you get up and you go, you read an old script, gee, Skipper, we're never going to get off the island. And then finally, like 5 years later, you're looking in that mirror and you're going, Joker, Joker, Joker.
My life is nothing but a comedy.
Midway through the 92-93 season, ratings for the show began to plummet. The production company decided to replace Colmes with the original host, Richard Dawson, to gin up the ratings.
Well, welcome back to Family Feud.
Colmes filmed his final episode of the show sometime in February 1994, but the show didn't actually air until May 25th.
You know, I've done this show for 6 years, and this could be the first time that I had a person that actually got no points, and I think it's a damn fine way to go out. Thought I was a loser till you walked up here, and you made me feel like a man, Tim. Give me your hand. Something that should be built to last, you said? Give him $5 a point! $385 a car was number one. We're coming right back. Come here. We love you. Don't...
In July of that same year, Colmes was involved in a serious car accident along the 134 portion of the Ventura Freeway. He sustained a major injury to one of his spinal discs, leaving him in severe and chronic pain. The accident left him temporarily paralyzed, and he had to relearn how to walk.
Hi, I'm Ray Colmes.
After being replaced on Family Feud, work was challenging to come by, and unbeknownst to his wife, Deborah, her husband was deep in debt. Colmes managed his money poorly and was oftentimes short on cash. All these stresses took a toll on Colmes' marriage, and in 1995, the couple separated after 18 years of marriage. 18 years of marriage!
This is Ray Colmes. I'm the new host of Family Feud, and coincidentally, this is my family. They just dropped by to cheer me on and wish me well. Okay, I can't lie. I told them to be here. It was a cheap trick to get you to watch this show out of a sense of sympathy for a family man with a wife, 4 swell kids, and number 5 under construction. I'm sorry, and I regret it. Did I mention Ray Jr. needs shoes?
Colmes tried desperately to restart his life, and things were looking good. He finally got an offer to host a rival game show called Family Challenge. Unfortunately, the show lasted a little under a year.
I'm telling you, what a great opening. We already pre-dunked ourselves. Anybody home get wet?
When Colmes and his wife divorced, the talk show host moved into an apartment in North Hollywood. His wife stayed behind and lived in the family's Glendale home with their 6 kids. Six kids. I mean, 6 kids, that would stress me out, right? Am I right? Am I right? On the night of May 31st, 1996, Colmes telephoned Deborah from his apartment and informed her that he had swallowed a bunch of pills.
911, what's your emergency?
Deborah called 911, and Colmes was brought here to Providence St. Joseph Medical Center in Burbank. Due to its proximity to both the Walt Disney and NBC studios, the hospital has seen its fair share of celebrities. Robert Blake's wife, Bonnie Lee Bakley, who he was accused of killing, was brought here after being shot in the couple's car on May 4, 2001. John Ritter passed away here on September 11, 2003, and teen icon Corey Haim died here on March 10, 2010. So I have a John Ritter story. In 2003, I went to Disneyland, and when we went on a Bugs Life ride,
Hollywood Boulevard, right here at the Disney MGM Studios. You know, the 4th started out with the craziest parade in Disneyland this morning, a salute to one of my favorite tunes. John to Fan Club, Goofy fans, you know who you are. Please, come in.
And when we went on a Bugs Life ride, John Ritter sat down right next to me along with his kids. Jack fucking Tripper. Crazier still, he'd be dead in less than a week. In high school, I watched Bride of Chucky on a loop. Ritter played against type as this batty police chief whose death paid tribute to Hellraiser's Pinhead.
Now!
When Ritter sat down next to me on a Bugs Life ride, he looked sick. He was breathing heavily and sweating profusely. But what I remember most about the encounter is that I could hear him breathing over the noise of the ride. And when we exited, I told my friends how ill Ritter looked, and they all agreed.
Oh, you back so soon?
You were listening.
No, I was not listening.
A few days later, Ritter complained of having chest pains on the set of his TV show 8 Simple Rules. He was sweating profusely and started vomiting. He was taken across the street from Walt Disney Studios to Providence St. Joseph Medical Center. By coincidence, it's the same hospital where the sitcom star was born. Physicians treated Ritter for what they diagnosed as a heart attack. However, his condition worsened. They then diagnosed Ritter with an aortic dissection, a growing tear in the aorta. But it was too late. 6 days before his 55th birthday, Ritter died during the surgery to repair the dissection.
John was a man who devoted himself to bringing joy and laughter into people's lives. Nothing made him happier. Because of that, there's probably no better way for us to honor his memory than by sharing his final episodes with you. So from all of us here at 8 Simple Rules, we just want to say, this is for you, John.
When Ray Colmes was released from St. Joseph's the following day after his suicide attempt, he called his ex-wife and asked her for a ride home. During the drive, Ray became agitated that Deborah wanted to take him to the family's home in Glendale. Get this, he ended up jumping out of the car barefoot and ran onto the Ventura Freeway where a passerby picked him up. In a rage, Colmes was taken to a friend's house, and at the friend's house, Colmes told him that he was going to come back to the Glendale home, hurt his wife, and destroy the place. The friend called the police, of course, as you would, and notified them of Ray's plans. When the police finally show up at Colmes' home in Glendale, they find the game show host not only destroying furniture, he's banging his head against the walls to the point that the walls are covered in blood. He was taken into protective custody and committed to the Adventist Health Center here in Glendale for another psychiatric evaluation. He was then placed on a 72-hour suicide watch. While researching this video, I stumbled upon some of the hospital's dark history that, for some reason or another, I didn't know about. Efron Salvador, a respiratory therapist at Adventist Health Glendale, was a serial killer who murdered upwards of 200 patients at the hospital from 1988 to 1998, when he was eventually caught. He's still alive, rotting away in a Brownsville, Texas prison, serving out 6 consecutive life sentences without the possibility of parole. If you get the chance, dive into that story a little bit more because it's frightening. I feel like more people should know about it. Salvador was able to get away with murdering so many by working the night shift, where there was fewer staff on duty. Colmes used the night shift to his advantage as well. On June 2nd, 1996, at around 4:10 a.m., hospital personnel discovered Colmes hanging by his bedsheets in the closet of his room. He was rushed to the emergency room, where he was pronounced dead upon arrival. Colmes' death was ruled a suicide. He was 40 years old when he took his life, leaving behind 6 children.
I'm Ray Colmes. Happy birthday, America, and we'll see you tomorrow on Family Feud.
Some of our
At the time of his death, Colmes accumulated a debt of over $500,000, not to mention the $470,000 mortgage on the family's Glendale home.
Going all the way to $300, I wouldn't go away.
Johnny Carson, the man largely credited with giving Ray his big break, sent Deborah and the kids a check for $25,000 with a note that read, "I understand you are having some problems. I hope this will ease the burden." It was a sad and tragic end for someone who was always smiling and making people laugh. It's a reminder that sometimes those are the ones that are hurting the most. This is Dead in Hollywood. See you on the other side. Colmes had accumulated a debt of over $500,000. Okay, good. Okay. When Colmes and his wife divorced, Colmes had accumulated a debt of over $500,000 at the time of his death. I probably should go, shouldn't I? Bye.
Survey says like and subscribe.